Welcome to the Go Slow to Go Fast Lifestyle Podcast, where we explore the art of intentional living. Whether you're juggling life as a working parent, leading in your profession, or simply seeking more meaning in your everyday, this space is for you. I'm your host, Kendra Chapman, and today we're diving into 3 ways to create balance and calm amidst the chaos through the lens of smarter strength, real recovery, and what it means to slow down in order to live fully. My guest today is Jim Laird, a coach who has worked with thousands by redefining strength, not as something that you chase in the gym, but something you embody through sustainable movement, rest, and mindset. Jim is currently living in Nicaragua and coaching clients around the world through a minimalist and deeply mindful approach to health. Jim Laird is a dedicated strength and conditioning coach with a career spanning back to 1997. He has developed and helped everyone from casual fitness enthusiasts to professional athletes in the NFL, the CFL, the LPGA, and the MLB achieve their goals. Jim's unique approach focuses on getting results efficiently. His motto, training smarter, not harder, has resonated with both clients and industry experts alike. In recent years, he's teamed up with Dr. Leland Stillman to combine fitness coaching with medical insights, promoting a holistic approach to health through fitness and outdoor activities. Now living in beautiful Nicaragua, he works with a local professional baseball team while focusing on helping men and women over 40 improve their health and fitness. So if you've ever felt like fitness is just another pressure point or wondered if there's a better way to feel strong, this episode is for you. Jim, thank you again for being here. And before we get started on your story, how's life in Nicaragua?
Good. It's as you know, this last week has been a little bit of a challenge, but it's good overall. Yeah. I love being here. The people are amazing.
Yeah. So Jim's alluding to technical difficulties that we've had getting this set up, and we've had to do it more than once. So he is super flexible. Thank you for being here. What does going slow mean to you?
Well, it's about being still and know. I for years thought a day off from the gym was truly resting, and until you can shut your mind off and be quiet and calm and peaceful and more or less be quiet in nature, you really truly aren't resting. And our modern world has kind of got us in this chronic state of constant rev. I compare it to getting in your car, starting it up and revving it in the driveway and never going anywhere. And that's where most of us are. We're in this constant state of, mind scrolling and literal scrolling. And we never, ever shut it off. We never take the time to sit quietly. We never sit in silence. Like, when's the last time you went to a park or, I lay in my hammock every day and just close my eyes and listen to the breeze and the birds. And you can hear the iguanas like running up and down the trees sometimes. When's the last time, obviously most people don't have iguanas running up and down their trees, but when's the last time you went out and sat in the park and just listened and sat still, put your phone down? It just doesn't happen anymore. And I think that's one of the reasons why so many people are struggling today. You slow down so you can go fast. There's a winter because, there's a winter so there can be a summer. There's daytime so there can be nighttime. And if you want to go fast, I have no problem with that, but you've got to go slow first so you can go fast later. And most people are stuck in this chronic state of busy, and they never take the time to slow down.
Yeah. So for those of you that are joining on the YouTube video, you can see Jim's background. He's in a tropical area, beautiful porch, hammock, all the things that you could definitely jump in and relax after a long day. But what's one thing that you've learned about strength and slowness that might surprise people?
About being still? Most people just don't really feel comfortable doing it. I didn't. The reason I worked too many hours and competed in combat sports and powerlifting and football because I just didn't really have a good relationship with myself. I didn't really like who I was. So when I had to sit quietly, I had to deal with all these thoughts and things that were bubbling up. So a lot of times people that are ultra busy, and a lot of it, a lot of people that are ultra successful is because of a lot of the things they've gone through in their childhood or relationships or, a chip they've got on their shoulder. But over time, as the years go on, that just wears at you. And it's just not a good way to live your life. And so you have to basically, our modern world is like everything is external, right? We're constantly looking at, whoever on social media and whatever's happened in the news. And it's just constant, you have to be able to look within yourself and be like, I don't really like that part of me. I've got a little work I need to do. So turning that vision inward and then being able to, I think silence is one of the ways our body kind of resets the brain and the hard drive. And people are just not doing that today. It says in the Bible in Psalms, be still and know. I think that silence is a huge part of therapy for us. If you just look at pictures of nature, it lowers stress. It helps improve mental health. Just imagine if you actually go out in nature and actually sit quietly and be calm and relax, what a benefit that would be, for your health. I mean, there's something simple. I talk about this all the time, and a lot of people don't take it seriously because it's free. But I have a lady I worked with in the last couple of weeks. She's very busy. She plays tennis. She's complaining she's gained a little bit of weight. We looked at her Oura Ring data, which is like a tracker that I use. I like it because you can wear in airplane mode. But for weeks, she had no restorative time during the day. It was affecting her sleep, affecting her hormones. It was causing her to probably eat a little too many sweets. And I just said, hey, go for a 10-minute walk 3 times a day. I want you to get out. I don't want you to walk for exercise. I want you to walk. I want you to look at the trees and listen to the birds and breathe through your nose the whole time. She said, well, I play tennis for, 2 or 3 hours a day. I'm like, I'm plenty. I don't need any more cardio. I was like, this isn't cardio. This is turn it off, relaxation. And she started doing it, and she did it for relaxation. She did it for calmness. And literally within 2 weeks, her sleep scores went up at 25%. Her overall stress levels went down dramatically. And the only thing she changed was just getting those 10-minute walks in. So that made her sleep got better. All of a sudden she's getting better sleep. She's not craving so much junk food. And that's going to lead to her down the road getting better body composition results. And I see most people are stuck in this perpetual, cycle of just being gone, on in their head all the time. And they get in a bad place. They're not sleeping. They're not taking care of themselves. Then they're overeating. They're medicating with alcohol or whatever else it is. And they don't realize that one of the ways to actually combat that is to actually slow down, relax, and shut off the stress response and get into more of a rest and digest state.
Yeah, I like how you say that you really can just incorporate that into your day and just be aware. Yeah. It just takes 10 minutes. It's not like it's 30 minutes out of your time.
Well, it's 30 minutes throughout the day, but it's divided up. And it's so important to get outside and get that sunlight in your eyes and on your skin, because that's what sets your clock. That's what sets your sleep schedule. And the average American today spends 97% of their day indoors, so they don't get any of that.
Yeah. And think about how much time you spend on your phone scrolling.
Correct. I mean, most people are on the phone 8 to 10 hours a day. So.
Yeah. So if we do less scrolling and more getting outside and just kind of track how you feel.
Leave that phone at home too when you go for your walk, and just relax and just breathe. And the people that take it seriously, they tell me they wouldn't believe how powerful it is. Maybe if I charged people $10,000 for it or something, they'd take it seriously. But it's totally free. And I notice a huge difference when I do my walks and my sleep and everything else in my data. And most people just don't take it seriously. And if they do go for a walk, it's they're trying to burn calories kind of thing.
Yeah. So deliberately go slow 3 times a day outside, 10 minutes. I think we can all do that.
Absolutely. Tongue in the roof of your mouth, and just observe this beautiful creation, whether it happened by accident or by design. That's up to you. But I lean towards the by design part, because it's just, how does this happen by mistake? Just by something randomly happening out of nowhere? I I don't really understand that logic, but hey, some
right?
really smart people are on that page, and they have every right to believe that.
Right. Oh, absolutely. So you've used the analogy of a car running, revving its engine. I've also heard you speak about a bathtub and the water in a
Yeah,
bathtub.
sure.
So I know that there are people out there trying to figure out, like, how do they listen to their body and figure out when they need to make this change?
Sure. Well, your body is really smart. It's constantly trying to get you to do what it wants you to do. And sometimes there's emergencies where you have to override your body and tell your body, like, suck it up. This is a survival situation. You got to deal with this stuff. But, that isn't the case most of the time. Your body's going to downregulate hormones. It's going to make you tired. It's going to make you feel less energetic when you're not taking very good care of yourself, right? When we're working with a high level athlete and we're trying to do something called super compensation, we will actually beat them up on purpose until they feel depressed, their libido starts going down. And then we back off, and then their body goes the other direction and like super compensates. We'll actually beat them up for a couple of weeks to make them feel terrible. Well, that's what people are generally doing. Like, they're tired, they're not feeling well, so they're not sleeping well, they're not getting outside, they're not taking care of themselves, they're not, sitting in a desk all day. But what happens is they reach for like caffeine or nicotine, or they, the latest like methylene blue or whatever the latest peptide is, or hormone replacement, and they don't change the lifestyle, and they just are using these things to kind of prop themselves up. And so I talk to people, I deal with a lot of people that have like autoimmune disease or diabetes or whatever else. And it doesn't matter really what the issue is. In the quantum world, it would be called redox potential. But when you're a kid and you're outside and you're playing, you're building your redox or your bathtub, your stress capacity, your ability to handle stress. So when you're young and then you go outside, you play, you get out in the nature, you build this stress bathtub, and you have a big stress bathtub, you can handle a lot of water. And water is like, like really hard exercise, emotional stress. It could be any, work stress, whatever kind of stress goes into that bathtub. Lack of sleep. Those are the things that fill up the bathtub. Being busy, competing really hard, death in the family, your husband, kids, whatever, fills the bathtub up. Things that empty the bathtub, relaxation, calm, being silent, good nutrition, good sleep, moderate to low level exercise, Tai Chi, things like that. That empties the bathtub. And it also, low level to moderate activity makes the bathtub bigger. As you get older, your bathtub gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So for me, for example, for 20 something years, I drove my body like a stolen car. Like, took performance enhancing drugs, like competed in powerlifting, was working 12 to 14 hours a day. And, over a space of, I lasted like 20 years, I had some pretty significant warning shots during that time. Like, hey dude, like some blood tests that I had, some medical stuff, some sicknesses I had, or days that I just couldn't get out of bed. Your body's like, hey, like, dude, this is enough. But I would override it with, caffeine, with supplements, with performance enhancing drugs. And then one day my bathtub was at the very top. And I think, I ended up getting ulcerative colitis. And then I look back at the root cause of like which is an autoimmune disease. You look back at the root cause, and it's like most people that have had like an autoimmune disease, like ulcerative colitis or like Hashimoto's or whatever else, there's usually car accident, death in the family, divorce, some sort of trauma. And I had a list of all those things. So, whatever the, last drop of water that spilled it over, and, flooded my whole house is really irrelevant. But it was a combination of things that filled the bathtub up. And because I wasn't sleeping enough, I wasn't taking care of myself, I wasn't emptying the bathtub fast enough. So when people have like diabetes, autoimmune disease, whatever it is, that's because your bathtub is too full. And some people get heart attacks, some people get cancer, some people get diabetes, some people get colitis. Luckily, colitis is something with, lifestyle and that you can change pretty quickly. If I would have had a stroke or a heart attack or something like that, that'd have been, a lot more tragic or different. So everybody has different weaknesses, and the environment is what pulls the trigger on your vulnerabilities genetically. And so a big part of what I do is explaining to people like, okay, what's going on with your bathtub? what are the activities that you're doing during the day? Is it filling the bathtub up or is it emptying it? And it's not like we want to have a completely empty bathtub. That's almost irrelevantly like unrealistic. But we want to make sure it's like only a quarter full. So like there's like a big emergency, like it doesn't like flood the whole house, right? So you've got some, if all of a sudden you've got a lot of things going on and a lot of trauma and a lot of stress, this isn't the time to like go for a PR in the gym or like do a really hard spinning class or something like that. This would be the time for like Tai Chi, restorative yoga, float tank, going for a walk. So becoming more mindful of like, okay, what kind of state is my body in? So I've been working hard for 6 weeks. I've got this project that I got to do. It's a massive, thing for my lawyer, my attorney. I've been working, 10 to 12 hour days for 6 weeks. I actually probably need to schedule 2 to 3 weeks of like less work, have my secretary hold my calls, do some float tank, get some massages, empty the bathtub instead of just going on to the next project. And then, because if you don't become more self-aware, especially if you get over 40, your body's wonderful. The body will stop you if you don't listen to it. And the body's telling you like, hey, you need to slow down. Like I'm going to downregulate thyroid. I'm going to downregulate testosterone. I'm going to give you less energy to get you to slow down and take care of yourself. If you keep overriding that, eventually the body's going to say, I've had enough. And it's just going to overflow the bathtub. And then you're going to you'll be forced to stop. And then some people even still keep going, and they take medications to like my dad, he got colitis when he was about 40 years old. And he went the conventional route. He didn't change. He was still a night shift worker. He still continued to eat pizza at 3:00 in the morning. He didn't exercise. He, worked night shift and he took the drugs. He took the prednisone. He did all the things that the doctors gave him. 5 years later, he had to have his colon removed, and he had to get a colostomy bag. And then he can, and then he's got diabetes. And then all of a sudden, he's having problems with his vision. And then, so he's never done anything to like change his lifestyle. So it just kept escalating and escalating. And eventually, he's getting older now, but, eventually the body just is like, enough's enough and you're done. Right. So you keep getting these warnings and it's like, change your lifestyle to give you a better probability of your body not like, working with it is going to give you a better long-term probability of having a gentle landing as opposed to being forced to stop.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the body, like you said, is a miraculous vessel, and it's going to stop you if you don't do what you need to do to empty that bathtub.
Correct.
For sure. So has there been any particular practice that you have been adding into your day besides the walking and being still that you've seen has really improved your like philosophical well-being in the past couple of years?
Well, really, the things that I implement are things that I can actually do. And I do this with clients too, because they'll be like, like we have all these different breathing methods and stuff like that. But it's like, and I worked for Dr. Leland Stillman for 3 years, and we'd have all these fancy protocols, and most people just wouldn't do them. And so I try to give people one or two things that they're actually going to do. And one of them is just blow up a balloon a couple times a day. So you sit, you basically, when you breathe, most people, when they breathe, they go, and it's kind of like a death breath. It's like you're gasping. When you breathe in, it's supposed to be silent in through the nose, and you're supposed to, unless you're trying to lift something heavy, but you're supposed to breathe in. It's supposed to be circumferential, which means it's supposed to be chest front to back expand, and the belly expands too. Everything expands together. And then when you exhale, the belly goes first and the ribs follow, right? So it's breathe in, exhale. You can see I breathe in. My rib cage expands. I exhale. Everything. So this is a great way to practice that. So you breathe in, put the tongue in the roof of your mouth, and you breathe out, and you exhale. And I pinch it off, and then I breathe back in. And most people really struggle with exhaling. They either can't inhale because they're too compressed, or they inhale straight up. So it's a good practice. It practices inhale, and then it practices exhale. And the exhaling is when you relax. And people that are superly high stress have a hard time breathing out and exhaling, like me. So blowing up a balloon 2 or 3 times a day is a really simple way. And I've had people that couldn't blow up a balloon at all, and we had to work on it. Like they start with a fist, and then they build up to the balloon. But if you blow up a balloon a couple times a day, the other thing that's really easy, that's super simple, is just put the tongue in the roof of your mouth and close your mouth and just breathe slowly. And just like when you're in the car, just breathe through your nose and consciously breathe as little as possible. When you're walking outside, when you're in the grocery store, if you can constantly slow your breathing down and breathe less, that's like your car, like revving and idling less. But if you're constantly like, breathing really, over breathing, mouth breathing the whole day, that's just your body, that's not in a relaxed state. So that's another simple thing that I tell people all the time is put the tongue in the roof of your mouth when you're in your car, when you're walking, when you're just sitting around and you're on the bus, wherever, in the store, at Walmart, wherever you go, tongue in the roof of your mouth, observe, and then just pay attention and try and breathe as little as possible. Those are 2 things that are really, really simple. I try to give people things they're actually going to do, because you could have all these complex protocols and complex things, and if they don't do them, it doesn't really matter.
Those are good suggestions. And with the tongue at the roof of your mouth, it just helps you be more aware and self-regulate in the moment, right?
That's the position that tells your brain that everything's safe and everything's calm. That's the natural resting position of the tongue. Unfortunately, with modern life, it's there's a lot of people that are tongue-tied and either have really narrow jaws. I'm one of those people that my dentist kind of messed my mouth up, but you're supposed to have a nice wide palate and your tongue's supposed to sit up there gently. But if you have problems putting the tongue on the roof of your mouth, you need to go see like an ear, nose, and throat guy. If you have a deviated septum and you can't breathe through your nose very well. I used to be really stuffy all the time. And the thing that cleared me up was when I read the Pateco method, and over breathing leads to stuffy nose, because once again, your body is stuffing your nose up so it can get you to slow your breathing down. So, so that's basic. So what happens is if you have a stuffy nose, you basically just take an easy breath in, pause, exhale, all the way out, plug your nose, bob your head up and down until you feel like you need to breathe. And then just release. And then just slowly start breathing. And you'll notice your nose will clean right out. And you'll notice, even if you can't do that, say you're on the bus or something and you don't want to like bob your head up and down like a crazy person, all you need to do is like when you feel your nose getting congested, just close your mouth and breathe less. Close your mouth, take a pause, like 10-second pause, and then just breathe in and out of your nose as slow as you possibly can. Unless you're really congested, that will clear your nose right up.
And that's such the opposite of what you would think would work. So that's great. That's a good reminder.
Yeah, well, you'll find that teachers have a lot of like congestion, hairdressers, bartenders, people that talk a lot, mouth breathe a lot, and over breathe a lot. So like I combat that by like when I'm done with this call, I am going to literally just go for a walk, slow my breathing down. I'll take I might blow up a balloon a couple times and then just slow my breathing down as little as possible and kind of counteract the fact that I've just been yakking for, half an hour, 40 minutes straight with nice little breaks from you.
No, that's great. Okay. All right. So I'm definitely going to be adding that into my practice. I think I was at first thinking you had to put the tip of your tongue in the middle of in the roof of your mouth, but you're saying the whole tongue, just move
whatever
it up
feels
top
natural.
Of your...
You shouldn't have to jam it up there. Okay. It just sits. It just that's where the natural is a natural position. And unless you've got some sort of like jaw issue or tongue tie or something, it's totally a natural. That's where it's supposed to sit. It'll feel totally natural.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you. So, if you're thinking that you are, as a listener, and you are wondering how you can pay attention to your body and you want to get to know more about what Jim offers, I'm going to ask him to share how we can find him online. So how can we find more information about what services you provide, Jim?
Well, I have two communities. I have the Vitality Brotherhood, Vitality Sisterhood. Both are generally for, men and women over 40, where basically we talk about lifestyle stuff. Most of it's accountability, like checking in on people and making sure they're doing okay. I offer coaching services for men and women. Um, I get a lot of people that have been to a lot of other coaches that haven't gotten results. And so we basically meet, we do problem solving and basically talk and set up a plan. A lot of times it's simplifying things and um, just maybe looking at something like, for example, I just had a gentleman who was struggling with diabetes, even though he'd been on a carnivore keto diet for a long time. And he, he was very frustrated because, he wasn't eating any carbs at all. He was eating a lot of protein and fat, a lot of fat. Well, he didn't have a gallbladder. So gallbladders store bile, and bile is essential for fat, breaking fat down. So when you have your gallbladder removed, being on a really high fat diet is not a good option. And he was under a lot of stress. And basically he was, working indoors from, on the computer from about 6 or 7 in the morning till about 6 or 7 at night, wasn't going outside at all. And so from December till now, which is, what is it, May, June, May, is it May or June? It's
June.
May. It's June.
Yep.
So from December to May, June, he was able to reverse his type 2 diabetes, and he's dropped about 30 pounds. And all we did was got him on basically lean meats and root vegetables and fish. And we added a supplement called Now Food Super Enzymes, which has bile in it, which if you have no gallbladder, I'm not a doctor, but you can look this stuff up yourself. If you don't have a gallbladder, you need to be taking something that has ox bile in it every single meal for the rest of your life. And then nobody tells anybody this. Like I've never had a client who's had their gallbladder out that was told they need to supplement with ox bile or they need to eat a lower fat diet. So we basically, the only things we did, and he didn't believe me at first, is we reduced his exercise to walking because he was training really hard, reduced his exercise to walking, gave him ox bile, got him on just basically meat, fish, and root vegetables 3 times a day. He was intermittent fasting too, which people that are under a lot of stress don't really handle really well. So we had breakfast, lunch, dinner, started walking 3 times a day for 10 minutes and getting him outside and got him some a red light to put on in his house and got him some blue blocking glasses for the screen. And then making sure he got outside 3 times a day. And then he was going and taking breaks from the screen throughout the day. And that's all we did. That's it. There's nothing else, no peptides, no supplements other than the ox bile. He's dropped 30 or 40 pounds since December, and he's reversed his type 2 diabetes. And he's like, I can't believe, I was working out really hard. I was eating, this keto diet, carnivore diet, and I was getting worse. And so, a lot of what I do is figuring a lot of times people are working hard on the wrong things and they're doing things that are actually, taking them in the wrong direction. I've had, one lady I worked with for, 8 years, she was working 10 to 12 hour days. She had 3 jobs. She's a pharmacist and she was gaining weight and she was training twice a day, or she was training every day or Monday through Friday with a trainer. And she started gaining weight and the trainer told her to train more. And after about 6 months of that, she was exhausted. She came to me and she was like, what's going on? I've gained 30 pounds and I'm training and I'm doing more cardio. I was like, you need to train 3 days a week and we need to walk and we need to learn how to relax and we need to do more self-care. You got to stop. You got to play with your kids and have fun and have a life. And, she ended up, or I've got one of her pictures on my website, and that is a transformation, unbelievable transformation in I actually did a whole podcast with her talking about how hard it was for her to actually do less because she was in the mindset that she had to do more to get better when actually the key to her success was actually learning how to relax. And so I get those, most of the people I work with are overachievers, and I have to figure out okay, what is it we have to do to actually get you in a better place? And for most people that I attract, it's about learning how to chill.
Yeah, because in my mind, I would think I need to build more muscle. That's what's going to make me gain weight. And so I wouldn't think I was doing anything wrong except for feeling exhausted. So I
Right,
like
right.
that you're
Well,
just,
she was doing boot camp style stuff, which is like a lot of activity, which is making
oh,
her basically couldn't stop eating because she was basically doing tons of activity.
mm,
We want to lift weights when we're trying to lose body composite, change body composition, or lose weight. But
mm-hmm,
lifting weights is to maintain muscle, and then we want to walk as much as we can. We don't want to do like a lot of high intensity stuff because that's just going to make you want to eat more food, generally speaking. So a lot of people will do these high intensity classes thinking it's going to help them burn it off, but all it does is make them eat more. And all it takes is one donut to basically undo like a half a week of training. So, it's not like trying to outwork a bad lifestyle isn't a good long-term strategy. And that's what a lot of people unfortunately are doing.
I'll remember that the next time I go for a donut. Okay.
Yes.
It's
So
half of the battle is not bringing it
those two
in the house.
communities. Well, and that's the thing too. The combination of sleep deprivation, broken circadian rhythm, and then like intense training just turns you into a human vacuum cleaner. Like you literally
Yeah.
can't stop eating because your sleep is broken. Like when you don't have enough sleep, you lose the ability to make good choices. And so combine that with intense exercise, you just turn into this like sugar monster, and literally you just keep digging yourself a deeper hole. And then most women are just like, well, I'm just going to go to Starbucks and have another coffee, and it just kind of digs a hole. So I've got those two communities: Vitality Brotherhood, Vitality Sisterhood. I'm on YouTube. I've got an Instagram, of course, and then that's pretty much everywhere that I am. If I've been doing this for like 30 years, so if you put me in Google, you'll find stuff about me. You'll find me. So
Thank you, Jim. This has been a great conversation. I'm definitely jealous that you get to go for a walk out in the tropical rainforest after this call, but I hope you have a great afternoon and evening with your dogs. That's all for today's episode of the Go Slow to Go Fast Lifestyle Podcast. But I want to keep the conversation going with you. What's one thing from today's episode that brings you hygge or helped you rethink about strength? Let me know. Email me at coachingwithkendrachapman@gmail.com or check out the other ways to connect with me in the show notes. Tag me in your refresh journey. I'd love to see how you're creating strength and slowness in your life. And if this conversation resonated with you, I hope that you consider sharing it with a friend or everybody you know who's tired of the hustle and ready for something deeper as far as their recovery. So, as always, I hope that you'll remember to take it slow, be intentional, and embrace the season you're in, because the grounded strength in me honors the grounded strength in you. Into the rest of your week, I hope you let your presence and not pressure shine through. Until next time, take care, keep going slow to go fast, and thanks for listening.